Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Conversation Learning Foundation's live Q&A series. My name is Marlon Murr, hosting again with Missy, Jena, who will be joining us in just a second. And today's episode, number 12, is all about calm, connection, and joy, and bringing that into your family in 2021. Again, a huge shout out to the Canadian Red Cross for all of your support and help and encouragement during this. It's been an honor bringing this to the families and parents out there, as well as educators. Now, please welcome Missy, Jena, to the program.
Hi, Marlon. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. How are you today?
I am doing honestly fantastic. It's been a great week, and I'm happy to be here with you on this Saturday.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm happy to be here with you, talking about important things affecting families, impacting families, bringing calm, connection, and joy in 2021. There have definitely been a lot of struggles, challenges, and impacts felt far and wide from the pandemic reality. And here we are. And I know you've got some great questions queued up to go, and we welcome viewers to submit questions as we go.
Yeah.
Let's get started, Marlon.
Amazing. So let's first start off with this first one, kind of defining what we're talking about.
Sure.
So how do you know when your family is calm, connected, and joyful?
Okay, how do you know when your family is calm, connected, and joyful? Let's explore what the opposites are. So when there is a disconnect, then the interactions can be impacted. And when there is an absence of calm, there can be chaos or uncertainty or unease. And in the absence of joy, the opposite of joy could be sorrow, anguish. And on any given day, you may experience all the emotions that are either calm, connected, and joyful, or the opposite. And all emotions are okay. They all serve a purpose. And today's episode is really about finding ways to access calm, to bring that connection into the family and create moments of joyfulness. So I'm going to ask you, Marlon, put you on the spot a little bit. When you think back on your childhood, what's a memory that pops up for you when everything felt calm, connected, and joyful, for that moment at least?
Always around the holidays. It was always a time of being connected with family that you don't see very often. My family is a pretty big family with a big extended family, and usually once or twice a year is when we would get together. And always around the Christmas holiday was that one time. So that's the one time. I mean, maybe it wasn't so calm. It was very hectic and all that, but we were very connected and we were all very joyful. So that's a time that really sticks out to me.
So around the holidays, the family together, and that sense of calm, connected, and joyful. As you were talking, Marlon, I was reflecting on my own childhood memories, and whether it's sitting around the table playing board games, there's a definitely connected and joyful, and maybe not so calm.
Yeah.
It could be filled with like, whoa, hey, it's not your turn yet. But there's a fun in that. And when I think of like that first memory I have, that surreal feeling of, wow, I feel so calm and connected and joyful, was driving home after a Christmas party. I may have been like 5 or 6 years old with my mom, dad, and brother in the car. We're driving home, and suddenly it started to snow, like big, huge flakes of snow. And watching that come down, that is a moment I'll always remember, is just feeling so calm, so connected to the family and joyful, like being inside of a snow globe. That was really special to me. So I invite other family members to discuss with your family, like, can you remember a time where you felt really calm, connected, and joyful, and describe it. And in describing it, there's something that you can share that experience.
And it's okay if you haven't felt calm, connected, or joyful in the last 6 to 12 months. I mean, that's normal. I think everyone has been feeling a little uneasy, a little less calm than normal, and obviously unconnected, because we haven't been able to connect in the normal ways that we would have in the past.
Such a good point, Marlon. When families share their experiences, like that's a beautiful opportunity to say, you know, what would help you feel more calm, connected, and joyful given the reality of pandemic and restrictions and health orders. So awesome point. Thanks, Marlon.
Okay, moving on to our next question.
Yeah.
Staying and being connected to people is difficult in the current climate. Do you have any tips on how we can safely connect with others? Obviously, besides the usual virtual Zoom and that sort of thing, but how else can we really be connected with other people?
Yeah, I'm unpacking the layers of this question. This is a really great question for all the layers. So we don't have the ability to, well, physical distancing, social distancing. So there's more space between people now, and there's masks, and there's an increase in Zoom meetings. And so you're losing those subtle nuances of being in person, being able to see each other or like catch things. You're restricted to seeing only this much of a person.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we safely connect with others? Safety is paramount, and we really do have to explore creative ways in nurturing those connections. Staying and being connected. Let's share from what we do, Marlon. Before we start the live, we meet for about 15 minutes and talk about life and how are you and what's going on.
Totally.
And then we get to connect to each other about our experiences and where we're at, and then that we can bring that into the show, because we're not just going in like at zero understanding of where each other is at. So staying safe is important. Being connected to people is difficult during this current climate, and let's just identify what some of those difficulties are. Like miscommunication can happen.
Yeah.
It's easy to have missed opportunities where if it's email exchanges maybe that are more so happening at the workplace than the physical face-to-face, there's all kinds of room for miscommunication, misunderstandings to happen, which creates difficulty in the current climate. So I strongly recommend taking time to be human with each other. Like put the agenda aside every now and then, like, hey, how are you? Check in. Marlon, you work in a fairly big organization. Is there anything in particular that stands out for you, how you've been able to stay safely connected to your colleagues?
Yeah, it's been a challenge. A lot of work for a lot of organizations, a lot of workplaces are all struggling with how to keep your people connected, how to engage your workers and employees and ensure the culture is still there and your everything that your company stands for on the employee side is still active and is still being entrusted in the staff and everyone. So everyone's having a difficult time with this. And I was actually talking to a colleague who's in HR, and they're saying that their hiring processes have changed because you're not meeting someone in person anymore, right? So you don't get to see if they're fidgeting or if they're doing things with their body. The body language isn't there. So it's really learning a new virtual body language that you wouldn't normally. I mean, obviously people were hired via virtually Zoom sessions before, but I mean, now it's almost the norm.
Very interesting from HR perspective in hiring people in this climate and only seeing like this much of that person. You don't get the usual tells.
Yeah, and bringing it back to the education front, I mean, I have a lot of friends in post-secondary, and a lot of their instruction in classes in law school or whatever are being done via Zoom. You don't get the in-person connection with the professors and the other students, the 300 students in a room, it's completely different, and that's a different experience for everybody right now. So it's again, connecting on the educational front, personal, family, everything is difficult right now, and it's all changed.
Yeah, so true, Marlon. And as I'm processing your words, I'm thinking about like all the challenges, like when people are in a Zoom meeting, are they looking at the screen? Are they looking at their camera? How is the person's experience of like, do they feel seen and heard? Are they wondering if their colleagues are distracted because maybe they're not looking in the same place? So being in person, you know, when you've had a genuine, authentic connection, eye contact has been made, and you're not like darting around the person looking at them. So we've had to navigate all kinds of challenges, and it is difficult. And to the person that asked this question, thank you so much. This is a really powerful question on many levels and layers. And I would suggest exploring this with your colleagues, like addressing, hey, it's been difficult. What have you been doing? Or have you been finding this? And then that just brings you a little bit closer in your own unique humanity and shared humanity.
Yeah, I like what you said about asking others. And I think that's something parents should do more often is ask other parents, like, how are you dealing with this problem? Because more likely than not, they're dealing with that same issue in their household. So we're going through this. We're all in the same pandemic. We're all doing the same things. We're all abiding by the same orders, and it's so people are going through the same thing. So reach out and seek how other people are dealing with it.
Oh yeah, Marlon, and it's so easy to think that other people have it figured out and you don't. So good. Talk to people and create that space for people to ask the questions that they may want to ask and are afraid to ask or feel nervous about asking, or not even afraid or nervous. They just, hesitate.
Yeah. So how can we get our kids and ourselves excited when there's no end in sight of this pandemic?
How can we get the kids excited question mark, excited about what? There's no end to this pandemic at this point. Here in British Columbia, there is an undetermined end date. There is no end date. The health orders are in effect. So it's almost like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Being in a car, are we there yet? No. And we don't even have any signs on the road that says 20 miles or kilometers until you're there. We don't know. And finding out what excites your kids is going to be different in each family. So how do you get your kids and yourselves excited, motivated, talkative during this pandemic? Marlon, what things have you looked forward to, or what sort of gotten you going on a daily basis? Like what ways are you taking care of yourself? And I ask you as an access for parents to talk to their kids.
It's I'm thinking about your question.
Well, you shared earlier that you being able to walk downtown.
Yeah.
It's, like you probably those little things that you build into your day are what motivates you, what are ways that you tell yourself, I'm going to get through this next few tasks. And then once that's complete, I'm going to do X, Y, Z.
Yeah, I think it's really about establishing a new routine. And I think we've all had to, in some form, establish that new routine within your life. My work week has changed. My weekends have changed from what I used to do, from what I currently do. Even the traveling aspect. During the holidays, usually go away somewhere. That didn't happen this year. So it's really reestablishing a new routine and keeping things somewhat normal.
Yeah.
And creating that new normal. But establish that routine. Create something that you look forward to doing on a daily basis or every other day or something. I mean, for me, it's knowing I'm going to get a nice cup of coffee when I get into work, or it's, the lunch I'm going to have or something like that. That's what's really keeping me motivated recently.
Yeah. And you know what? There's small, specific, achievable things that you can build into your day that create a little bit of a spark, or like it gives you some momentum to keep going. And that's how you can talk to your kids too. Like, you know, what thing do you look forward to during the week, or like what little way, and like get them empowered to build those features into their own day to help them have some ownership about building excitement, momentum, and motivation while there is no end in sight to the pandemic. And that last part of the question, I would say for those parents or kids, families that are really struggling with when is this going to end? We know at some point this will end, and it's the uncertainty of when it's going to end that can create some stress for families and children and parents. So we can also look at history, like in the 1920s when there was the pandemic. You can actually talk to your kids about what people did back then, how they worked around the pandemic, and look at similarities and differences between then and now, and just engage them and let them know that this something like this has happened, and this is what we learned from that one, and this is what we're learning from this one, and then just engage them in finding out what they think would be a creative solution to get excited about this no end in sight. Make sense?
Totally makes sense. Mm-hmm. Now, this one's a little bit of a different question. So are there any programs available for kids with autism who are having troubles coping with the pandemic?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So depending on what region you live in, what country, where you may be watching from, here in BC, we have some resources, and Autism BC, Marlon, you had shared with me that there is Autism Canada?
Yeah, Autism Canada.
Canada. And they're offering like sensory kits for
sensory kit for children with autism. So I believe you can get a sensory kit through Canada or Autism Canada, and it's just for helping your child who maybe has some issues with sensories. So that's sound, touching, having a mask on their face. I mean, different situations, right? So.
Totally. So I do wholeheartedly invite you to explore what resources are available to you based on your community, the region that you live in. And from my experience of working with children who had autism, the social stories, being able to help them see it visually, can make a difference. But again, refer to the experts in your area and take any of the sensory kits or whatever may be available for you, and do what fits best for your child and your family.
Mm-hmm. How open should we be with our young kids, 11 and 13, when it comes to our mental health?
How open? 11 and 13, mental health. Okay, so this is a very subjective question, and it's going to be based on comfort levels of the parents. And, some parents are really open with their kids, very open communication, dialogue, and some parents may choose not to be as open for their own reasons. So when it comes to mental health, let's just define mental health. It's sort of like thoughts, feelings, what's going on for you, the things you tell yourself. And if you're struggling to share with your kids, I'm having a tough day, I'm having a tough week, this has been really hard on me, it creates room for discussion and dialogue. Mm-hmm. And it also demonstrates for your 11 and 13-year-old it's okay to talk about it, and it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to be open. You don't have to deal with it by yourself, which is, at age 11 and 13, preteen, teen, those years can be quite tricky to navigate. So starting that conversation with your kids early on could really set a tone for the future years. So how open, this is subjective for each family. And, growing up, Marlon, in my own family, we never discussed it as mental health. It was kind of the things that would come up as like, I've had a tough day. Or I'm not doing so great right now. I just need some time.
Yeah.
And so
I think with opening up, it also encourages your children to open up with you too, and allow them to share their feelings, or allow them to be more comfortable sharing their feelings if they're seeing that their parent is sharing how they feel.
Yeah, so true, Marlon.
Give and take.
Yeah, I really like that. And it's a great summary. Opening up, just it mirrors, like it opens the door and lets them know that it's okay to talk about these things. And it's important. It's part of being human. And that's the key thing. It's just, we're human, and we're going to have good days, bad days, and we're going to struggle. We're going to have challenges, and we're going to work through them.
Yeah, you're right. We will. I've taken a lot of time off of work to be with my kids in 2020. Now my work is less flexible, and I cannot afford childcare. They don't feel safe going to school, and if I force them, I would feel bad. So obviously, this parent is having probably an issue a lot of people are having in other communities and across the world, really.
Yes.
So what should they do, and should they feel bad? What do you suggest?
Yeah, this is a real dilemma. And as you mentioned, Marlon, across the board for parents, caregivers who have children, this pandemic has gone on a lot longer than what most of us probably would have thought at the beginning of it. A couple of months will be over. So the impact is there on work is less flexible now, and childcare is expensive, and the kids don't feel safe going to school. If I force them, they'll feel bad. What a dilemma. Either which way, this parent feels stuck, like restricted from work, being inflexible, wanting to be like there for the kids. They don't feel safe going to school. In BC, there's new restrictions. K-12 masks are required, and gosh, I wish I could talk to this person to find out, are there supports through HR? Is there somebody they can talk to? Keep asking for help. Keep asking for support. There's going to be somewhere something is going to give, and it's going to create a new opportunity. And I really empathize with the feeling of being stuck for this parent, like just so restricted. So Canada has support for Canadians regarding the pandemic, and the website, through Canada's website, there are resources, supports. I would take a look, just to explore, brainstorm, talk to your kids, be honest with them, like, I'm in this dilemma. And just, it's like, talk. You guys will come up with new ideas and solutions, and there will be different things. If you search on the internet, don't give up. I guess that's what I'm saying, is don't give up. Don't think that it has to be this way. Keep looking, keep searching, keep talking, and involve your children in the discussion.
Yeah.
And we're really cool for you.
But I like, involving the kids in the discussion, allowing them to voice their opinions, and having an opinion is important as well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, Marlon.
So this next question, a mother is asking, so am I a bad mother for not limiting my daughter, who is 12, her screen time? It keeps her from nagging at me and saying she's bored. I've literally run out of activities to do with her. I feel with parent, because I've run out of activities to do for myself. So I understand trying to keep someone else entertained, a young child that's used to being filled with camps, activities, or whatever they're used to.
So true, so true. Let's drop the am I a bad mother? You're a mother. You're a gift. You're an angel. And you're facing challenges. So we're all facing far more screen time. Probably, I shouldn't make a general statement like that. I'm definitely experiencing way more screen time than ever before. And you've got a kid, you've run out of activities. Well, if you haven't yet, download your family care kit. It's filled with activities that don't require screen time that you can do with your daughter.
Mhm.
And these are unusual times, unusual situations. You're going to have to find new compromises and ask your daughter, like, if she wasn't on the screen, what would she rather be? Like, what else would you like to do? Like, talk to her.
Yeah.
And please do not call yourself a bad mother.
No, this is something we're all going through. And we're all trying to keep busy and stay busy, as well as have some sort of normalcy and fun. And
Yeah,
I mean, that's where the joy and the calm and the connection comes in.
absolutely.
So it's bringing those three things. Everyone's struggling with it, and so you're not a bad mother.
Mhm.
You're not a bad parent. Anyone out there struggling with this or trying to have their kids enjoy life and be more connected, it's difficult right now, but you're right.
Totally, Marlon. I'm
There's
just going to
lots of
jump in there.
Go ahead, go jump in.
Jump in and say, taking a moment to have a conversation with each other and do a little brainstorming, like what are some other ways that we can keep ourselves entertained together individually that don't involve screen time, and see what ideas your kid comes up with. Because so often when a kid is told to do something, they may resist it. But when it's their own idea, then they have ownership over it. And they're like, oh, yeah, maybe I will do that for a little while instead of being on the screen. So talk to your daughter.
Here's something you can do. Let's say this coming Sunday, tomorrow, let your child plan your day. What do they want to do? Like, if they could do anything within reason that would make them happy or with the family, what would they want to do and what would they plan? And just kind of see what happens.
I love it, Marlon. That's such a great idea. Plan your Sunday. And that can happen every Sunday or every other Sunday. There's going to be a lot of Sundays still in this pandemic.
Yeah.
That's a great suggestion. I love it.
Mm-hmm. And then one more question we have for the day before we end our session. We have one more live session after this. We are continuing the live sessions to February 13th.
Yes.
It's going to be our final session. But here's our question for today. I surprised my kids with a trip to Whistler for Family Day, and they called me an irresponsible parent for traveling during the pandemic. I thought this would be a positive thing for our family.
Okay. I imagine that this parent thought by Family Day, things would have settled down and restrictions would have lifted, which they didn't. So I'm really curious, like, if the kids called the parent irresponsible or somebody outside. But nevertheless, we are here. And if they're talking about Whistler, there's a great chance they're from BC, and we have undetermined date for the health orders and restrictions to stay in place. So what was originally thought of as a positive thing for our family will most likely have to change. We'll have to pivot. And now ask your kids to surprise you.
Next trip.
Yeah. Ask your kids to surprise you with a virtual home visit, Family Day, based on Marlon's suggestion, like you plan. I thought we could do this. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Bonnie Henry has asked people to stay in their own regions for ski trips and things like that. She doesn't want people moving around. So let's have your kids come up with a good surprise for you that doesn't involve a road trip.
Or even planning one for next year, even for next year. Do you want to go away? Do you want to do something? So I mean, involving your kids, planning something, having having something to look forward to, again, is very important for 2021.
Totally. And having something to look forward to for Family Day. Well, Family Day here in BC is on the 15th. So we'll talk about Family Day next week. We'll share some ideas and suggestions and things that you can do to make your Family Day special or relaxing or whatever you need it to be. And to this person, we feel you. And to all who submitted questions, like, thank you for putting forward such important questions. You're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. This was episode number 12. We have one final episode coming up next Saturday at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Links will be on the Facebook Live, as well as YouTube. And again, to all audience members watching, you can comment live and we'll answer your questions live, or you can send in your questions before the show.
Yes.
Totally up to you, whatever's easier.
Thank you. Thank you, Marlon. We'll see you all next week.
See you next week. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.